and I've probably already told y'all this before, but off podcast stuff, but what if there never was an Uncle Ben? Like, there's always been speculation of who was Uncle Ben. Like, is he already dead in this? We never get a mention of Uncle Ben. I think it's because Tony's supposed to be the surrogate Uncle Ben for this whole origin story idea. Because we've discussed this off the podcast.
You mean non-directly who's filling that role?
Well, I'm saying, like, when it first came out, when Spider-Man Homecoming came out, there's all the talk of they didn't do Uncle Ben. Like, was there an Uncle Ben? Is he dead already? Like, was that like the whole events of Uncle Ben dying and Tom being affected? I don't think we ever get a hint to an Uncle Ben existing.
No, we don't. I don't think. I'm saying
pretty sure
with
we don't.
Definitiveness, but no, I don't think so. However, I think that you're both very right as far as like the meta way to look at this. Yeah. I think Tony Stark was Uncle Ben. In a literal fashion, I do think that in that world there's a pretend Uncle Ben that did exist, only because Marissa Tomei herself, off camera, like not in character, but the actress herself has said something about how she proposed an idea where in No Way Home she wanted to have a girlfriend. She wanted to be leaving Happy because she was in a female relationship, and it was going to be kind of a bisexual format because her idea that she brought to it was that she had been with Uncle Ben. She had mourned him. She hadn't gotten into other relationships because she loved Uncle Ben, and that enough time had passed, she started dating Happy, and it didn't feel right to her, and that she had this close relationship with a woman, and that she ended up choosing to be in a relationship with the female friend. So she proposed that idea. So in the actress's mind, an Uncle Ben did exist, but on a meta version,
But that's also in the actress's mind. Exactly. That's not in a writer's mind. Right. That's not in a movie's mind.
She's behind the scenes. She's talking to the people. So that's what I'm saying. Yeah. In her mind, it existed, but it didn't. It was never mentioned.
Yeah.
So if
canonically, there has never been a single mention of Uncle Ben. So to our understanding, Uncle Ben does not exist. And that may be why they didn't go with her idea of just being like, well, Uncle Ben doesn't exist in this universe. And she may never said that.
Yeah.
Right.
So real quick,
because I think we're getting like, just to cap off this conversation is just this, as we've all said to each other, is the official origin story of Peter Parker.
Do you know how excited I got?
We
predicted it. And then if you haven't seen the Fanatic Now episode, we did discuss it in our review afterwards, but we hadn't been here since. So yeah, those 3 movies ended up being an amazing origin story.
Yeah.
But wow. Like,
when did it hit you? Like, when did it see? For me, I didn't predict that. I didn't see that coming. But it was about when he opened the apartment door at the end. Like, it was then that I realized, like, I felt connected to the people who made this movie, because I was like, I feel like 13 people in here might be getting this right now. And I was like, oh my fucking God, you geniuses. This is amazing. This is a masterpiece. It's the best fucking trilogy ever for Spider-Man.
Him going into the apartment is the moment that it's a slap in the face if you're a comic fan of Spider-Man, where you're like, holy shit, this is the origin story. This is the
origin story we haven't gotten.
That's when it's a clear case that this was the origin story. And the reason we predicted it, or I don't know, were you on that same train of thought? I can't even remember, because we've discussed this, but it was months ago.
I don't remember talking about it here.
Okay.
Predicting that.
I didn't, before this movie, I never went around saying, oh, guys, this is the origin story, blah, blah, blah.
I didn't think we were getting one.
After Far From Home, actually made comments about how I'm so glad that they're not repeating that same story that we've seen over and over. They needed to do something fresh.
Yeah.
But that I didn't like the path that they were taking, because there is no origin story. The character arc needs to still happen. And it wasn't happening very well in the first 2 movies. I thought they were good movies, but I thought they liked being great because he didn't have that story arc of feeling like an origin story.
And then now with this movie, you can kind of zoom out and you're like, oh, it didn't have that arc because this was the this was the lead up to the climax that this movie was for an origin story.
It never hit me before the moment of him walking into the apartment at the end of No Way Home that, okay, I can see the picture now how this was an origin story. But I did know it-ish thinking about it because of somebody else. I wish I could remember the author's name now, but he's a producer of a website, and I can't even remember what it is now. But there's a guy that wrote a book about the history of Spider-Man, and he talks about the comics, the movies, everything. It's almost like a bird's eye view of Spider-Man. So it's like it's a Spider-Man encyclopedia, but not through the storyteller's version. Kind of like looking down and seeing how everything is played out. Kind of discusses it. He brought up in his book that what we're seeing is a trilogy that will be an origin story. And when he said it, I was like, I don't know, man. And then reading his explanation on it, I was like, oh, shit. So it wasn't my idea, but I did go into this movie thinking they're trying to make an origin story.
And
so
they did it.
They did.
Like, really well. Hey there. Hope you enjoyed that clip. You can find more clips like this and full video episodes of the Small Stuff Podcast on our YouTube channel. You can also listen to full episodes of the Small Stuff Podcast in audio form wherever it is you get your podcasts. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Amazon Music, Audible, all the places. Also, follow us on social media. We're on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. All the links are in the description. Have a nice day.